two guest speakers are still guesting out there somewhere. So when they arrive, we'll go ahead and we'll slide them on in. Just want to make sure you're here for D-NewTech and not to redo your mortgage. Make sure you're here for the right meeting. We'll take your mortgage money. Don't get me wrong, but this is the D-NewTech meeting. A couple of housekeeping items. Everyone went through security, so you do have your parking validated, correct? Good. Okay. The men's room and ladies' room outside and turn to the right, but don't go past the men's and ladies' rooms. There's some other meetings down there, and we're likely to get thrown out of the building if we interrupt. So don't go past the men's and ladies' rooms. Let me start by thanking all of our sponsors. Every week I need to make sure I check in with Tom because he keeps adding another one. So for this month, thank the American Red Cross. If you go to our website, you'll be able to, if you want to donate some money for the Japanese Earthquake and Tsunami Relief Fund. The Detroit Economic Growth Corporation, one-stop shopping for setting up in Detroit. TechTown. How many people here are graduates of TechTown besides Tom and I? All right. Great opportunity to, get a lot of resources here in the Wayne County area. The Collaborative Group, and they've been very supportive of our activities and trying to get more new young activities going here in the Detroit region. Wisdom collaboration between Quicken Loans and their own incubator series. I think Wisdom grads, there's at least, yes, at least one of our speakers is from Wisdom so that's great. Quicken Loans, H&T Medical Solutions, and social media is a party. If you're going to work hard, you might as well play hard. So that's it for our sponsors. We're going to go ahead and have Melanie come on up. Are you just going to use the handheld mic? You don't use it. Okay.
I don't think we need a microphone. Everyone can hear? All right?
Yes. Melanie, you have a big voice. You can boom. Don't need a microphone? Okay. Melanie's one of these folks that came out of the normal background, mortgage and finance background, and she transitioned into energy, and she'll talk about that in a little bit. And I asked her, what does Walker Miller Energy Services do? She said, they're the catalyst, provides a solution to make work and home a more comfortable and efficient place to be. So, with that, we'll go ahead and we'll let Melanie go ahead and start. And remember our format, everyone. We have 5 minutes for the presentation, then 5 minutes for Q&A. We're actually going to hold on because we're just got a whole bunch of new people coming in. Good.
You know you're off the hook for another.
Yeah, but he's in the front row.
John Hogan from Knowledge Watch. I'm with Dan also. Yeah. What'd you say, Mike? Yeah, shut up. No, I'm not him. You.
So go ahead and yourself settle, take it, breathe deeply. Chicken out already.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. Yeah. We are very flexible here. So now we'll introduce our first presenter. She's off the hook. We're going to go back and do our keynote speaker. Okay, this is Chris Moultrup. Chris is Program Director at the Michigan Innovation Center. I looked at his bio and it's really interesting. He's the person that actually took the bricks and built the building. Then he developed the whole incubator, did all the marketing, and now he's a program manager. So no matter what Ken says, this is the man who really did everything. The other people just pay the paychecks. So I'll stop there and let Chris talk a little bit about either Mid-Michigan or Blue Angels Investment Network, or both. Go ahead.
Well, thanks for having me tonight. Ken and I are
pleased to be here. We also have a new member of our team, Heather Fortin, with the Innovation Center, is also here as our Northern Michigan Program Director. For those of you who don't know, the Mid-Michigan Innovation Center is a small business incubator and accelerator founded in 2005 with the mission of creating jobs and new wealth in the greater Mid-Michigan region. We are based in Midland, and we really service our customers through 3 different ways. 1 would be access to capital, 2 would be mentors and coaching, and 3 would be providing the entrepreneurial community and some educational programs. What we're going to talk to you today about is access to capital and what we've done in that sector to really bring capital to the entrepreneurs and try and get some businesses going. So one of the key things we found when we started the Innovation Center was, we're a private nonprofit, so we have to get revenue for everything we do. We don't have federal funding or anything like that to keep us going. So all the entrepreneurs have to pay to use our services. But what we found is they didn't have any money, which is kind of an upside down business model. So in 2008, February of 2008, we formed and formalized BlueWater Angels with 20 members, or 30 members at that point actually. And we started that initiative a few months before, really just to bring the community together and see what kind of interest there was. At the first event in October of 07, we had over 100 people come for a one-day brainstorming session on how do we get capital to entrepreneurs and how do we form an angel group for Mid-Michigan. So, like I said, we formalized in February of 2008. Since then, we have grown to around 45 members. We are one of the largest and most active angel groups in the state. Since that time, it took us about a year to do our first deal. People call it herding cats. Well, it truly is, especially when there's 45 of them. And some are at $5,000 and some are at 20 or 50, and really trying to get the deals to come together. So it took a year to get the first one under our belt. We got it under our belt. Since then, we just completed our 6th deal, investing over $2 million total over the last 2 years. That leveraged an additional $2 million in funding from other sources, whether that's the Michigan Pre-Seed Fund or even the Ohio Third Frontier Fund, and some other venture capital companies and other angel groups that we syndicate with. So you think the first one took a year, and then the second one's kind of went every 2 months after that. And how did that happen? What changed? What was the impetus to make that go? And it was one key revelation in our deal flow process, or our screening process. Paper doesn't convey the key aspect of all angel investing, and that's emotion and passion. So we set out on a mission to get the entrepreneurs in front of the angel investors faster, at an earlier stage, well before they may even be ready for investment. So we partnered, we partnered with the Great Lakes Entrepreneurs Quest to form a program called Boost Michigan. Started as Boost Mid-Michigan. It's expanded now. And it all came from a phone call with Diane Durance of Great Lakes Entrepreneurs Quest and saying, look, we've got this issue. We want to do pitch nights to get entrepreneurs in front of our angels so they can connect and they can build relationships and start funding companies. But we don't want to just put anybody in. So we started Boost as a 2-minute pitch program. You get 2 minutes to come up, give your spiel, and then you get 3 minutes of feedback from experts. Those experts may include angel investors, they may include SBTDC counselors, or business incubation professionals, or even service providers. But the key part of the Boost event is to get you, the entrepreneur, or the entrepreneurs in general, to connect with someone that can help take them to that next level if they're not ready. Some are ready at that point, but others need a little bit more work. And when we see 200 companies a year, we can't give feedback to every single one. So that's where Boost came from. Out of Boost, we take 2 companies to come to Pitch Night. Pitch Night is a 5-minute pitch program with 5 minutes of feedback directly from angel investors. The key difference between pitch nights and all other pitch programs in the state, or some even across the country, the only person that can ask you, the entrepreneur, a question is an investor. If you can't write a check, don't ask a question. It sounds like a simple point, but it's key, and it's very valuable to the entrepreneur. because we don't want to have, I'm an entrepreneur myself, I don't want to give a pitch and then have a bunch of, no offense to academics, but academics in the room pontificate with me on my company. I want to talk to an investor, I want to get to the deal. And that's really what we focus on. So that is our deal flow process and kind of our journey over the last year. We're at 45 angels now. We hope to be close to 100 by the end of the year. We're tracking 2 to 3 more per month. So we'll have to step that up a little bit, but we're on track to get there, and we're expanding. Heather is based in Traverse City. We're working with angels in Cadillac, Alpena, the Thumb, Clare and Isabella counties, and working on some initiatives in Flint as well. So really trying to take it statewide and grow. So with that, the couple things to think about when approaching an angel investor or going to an angel group is, this is where the in-person screening really comes in as well. You don't, you want to make sure it's a good fit. It sounds simple on the surface, but something can look good in the first conversation. Then when you really get into due diligence, it's just not working. There are not necessarily bad angels, but angels that don't fit right with your opportunity. We've seen it within our own group, and we've seen it in other groups. And we've also seen the angels that truly do fit right. And those are the ones that you want to get with and work with. So don't jump in just, I'll give you $50,000 for 20% of your company like the Shark Tank. Think about who you want to work with and what type of characteristics you want, because the angel's going to be involved. So with that, one of our leading angel investors, a founding president of the BlueWater Angels, a seasoned serial entrepreneur with 2 IPOs under his belt, multiple other accomplishments, but Ken Kuski, president of BlueWater Angels.
We've been on a road show today. We had meetings in Lansing with the state's economic support group, MEDC. We had meetings with the university. So we've been on this constant road show, and then we got jammed in traffic here. So we were just finally decompressing, and there's so many topics and areas we could touch on. But I really want to try to put angel investing in a broader perspective. I'm trying a personal crusade to change the name from angel investing to local private equity. Angel investing is misleading both to the company. We're not angels. We're not here to give you a gift. We're not a salvation. We're investors, and we want our money back, and we want to make a lot of money doing it. So angel investing is a misnomer to the investee or the target company, but it's also, we're finding, a misnomer to the people we're trying to attract as investors. So I want to put some of the financial issues in a broader perspective. The global economy right now is awash in liquidity. We don't see that on the streets. There is a phenomenal amount, and it's what Keynes and others 50, 75 years ago called the liquidity trap. There's money out there, but the price of risk has gotten so high that it's on the sidelines. Microsoft and IBM just raised, in the last year, both companies raised billions of dollars of debt equity that pays a negative real rate of return. We know over the life of those notes that inflation will exceed the interest rate on those bonds. This is like setting aside for retirement, and when you say I'm going to put in 100 and you look at that chart and someday it's going to be worth 1,000, this is putting in 100 and saying someday it'll be worth 60. Negative real rate of return. The world's awash in cash, but the price of risk has become extremely high, extraordinarily high. The banks, when we went through the financial collapse, we re-regulated the financial industry, and the banks are less able to support our efforts or your efforts than ever before. The restrictions and the conservative concerns about, if the government says, I'm going to insure these deposits, they want to make sure if you lend that money out, you're going to get it back for the depositors. So the government's underwriting the risk, and so government risk, price of risk has gone up, price of risk to the investors has gone up, and so we're trying to trigger a commitment to private equity. And that's really the space we play in. It's different than debt, and so right away when you say private equity, we're taking an equity stake, not a note. Lots and lots of great companies should be debt financed. If you don't want your investor to stay on until what we call a liquidity event, understand what a liquidity event is. We want the stock to change ownership. And so you guys get coached on that. You all come before us and you say, how are we going to exit? Oh, we're going to go public. Well, that's not going to happen, guys. You know, the IPO market is pretty much closed unless you're 100 million plus in revenues, probably closer to a half billion. It's a very, very closed, expensive market. And so the other exit is to be acquired. So every company that pitches us says, well, in 5 years, I'm going to be acquired. Most of the entrepreneurs, you can see in their eyes, that's the last thing on earth. They love their business. Why do they want to sell it? The state is foolish in sponsoring that approach because the big acquisitions in Michigan take the businesses out of the state. So why are we all driving to acquisition? So we're working closely with MEDC to look at, well, how do you do debt financing? That's what this market calls for in many cases. So we're looking at alternative strategies for helping you raise capital. But the big point I wanted to raise with you is we're talking about the price of risk. Money, the price for money is risk the lender or the investor takes. How do we lower the cost of risk? It's a lot of perception. Chris said this is emotional. It is. How do I measure risk? Do I trust the person? The reason why local private equity beats institutionalized private equity is what Greenspan used to call counterparty surveillance. The other party is close. If it's a neighbor, if it's somebody in your community, if we have validation from somebody who knows the entrepreneur, we can walk by the business. Our first investment isn't doing very well. Our first club investment, and the poor CEO has 20 local investors who remind him of it every time he goes to the grocery store. So you got to think about what that. But it drives him. But what he's got are 20 partners that want to get him to market faster and grow his revenues. And so, but we're talking about the price of risk. I want to come back to that theme. So our coaching and our work with early stage companies is how do we help you de-risk your business? 3 classic risks: product risk, market risk, and execution risk. Product, does the technology work? Proof of concept's a big issue. Do you have something that really works? Market risk, how big? You told us it's $1 billion market. Well, what we found out is you have a windshield wiper and you're giving me the volume of the auto market. And your share of that real market is 100,000, not $1 billion. Is the market really what you, is it scalable? Is your product scalable in a large market? So is there a big market? Does the product work? And then the third is execution. Do you have the management team and the business plan to win? And how do we take risk out of that? The number one way you can take risk out of that is to show us revenues. The best way to raise investment capital is to produce revenues. You prove to us immediately that the product works because somebody's buying it. You've proven that there's a market, and now we can do diligence on both product and market. We can go out and talk to your customers. And you've executed. On a shoestring, on a bootstrapped enterprise, you've demonstrated that you're capable of executing. There's another sad piece on the execution, is that private equity people think, and angel investors and venture funds, even worse than angels, believe that they can replace management. If you've got good technology, if you've got a big market, don't worry, if you screw up, we can bring somebody else in. We've got a claim on the intellectual property. So, and that's a big difference, I think, between angel and VCs. I think angels know that management comes first. And I think you'll see that, and that's why local private equity has some different characteristics than angel, and certainly different than venture. But if we look at organized angels in the United States, they use a term sheet and an investment instrument, a preferred convertible share equity investment, that comes right out of the VC industry. I mean, literally, that's where the Angel Capital Association got their documents, from the National Association of Venture Capital, NVCA, National Venture Capital Association. So organized angel is evolving. We're learning. I chaired at the Angel Capital Association conference this year a workshop on alternative exits. What if we as the state, what if the state said, pre-seed money, we don't want you to cash out on exits. You're penalized somehow, or we want, so if you sell this company and it leaves the state, we want, an extra premium on our investment. We're not trying, for state-sponsored money, they should be thinking that way. So what's going on in this broader market? Focus on risk, focus on de-risk, and understand that the people you're talking to with the money are earning probably 1% on their money right now. So that's not a hard story to beat if you can de-risk it. You know, we're not answering, you know, when people said, oh, investors want 10x. 10x doesn't make any sense to a financial economist. It does. 10x in how long? 10x in 100 years isn't a very attractive investment. In 2 months, it's a phenomenal investment. Yeah. So tell me when. Tell me a realistic exit story. There are alternative exit strategies. I can buy you out. I can cash you out. Show me how you're going to have the cash flow to take us out. Show us a dividend stream. So we're evolving. We're looking at new architectures, new strategies. We hope to have our name up there as a sponsor soon. We're very active downstate. There's not enough real private equity investing in the state, so we're really committed to doing that. And the best way we can find private equity off the sidelines is to show them good deals. So we like to brag about, you know, our first deal in the money wasn't really in the money, but 9 months after we made an investment, the same stock we bought for $1 was being bought at $4. So that's a 4x investment in 9 months. And so we show that to people. We brag about it. All of you could be doing that. And we want to try to help you find those opportunities. Don't go to angels prematurely. I think that's about it. But don't give up on this. Don't give our deals. The biggest deal we did took over a year to close. People, you know, it takes a long time. The company grew through that period. We grew through that period. We're looking forward to seeing some exciting deals, and thank you for having us.
There's questions they want to ask.
Pardon?
They got questions.
Oh.
They got this is the fun part.
Okay. This is what we did to you.
Yes, exactly. So I'm trying to get back to you.
Okay. We did that to you. We've got a bunch of great presentations from you guys. So. And don't assume that we didn't, because there wasn't action. You know, like Chris said, the first year, it took a year to get the first deal through. We did 6 last year. We hope to do double that rate again this year. Yeah.
Hey, can you make some comments about how angels view preliminary friends and family funding as it relates to an investment that they might be considering? Do they like it? Do they like to see it, or not? What are the issues associated with it?
Do we like outside, you know, how do we look at the outside investors? You know, and you said family, friends, and we say infidels, and you know, so a couple things to be aware of. The Security and Exchange Commission protects people without high net worth. So what we call an accredited investor is an investor that the SEC says, you have so much money, I'm not going to worry about you. If you get burned, it's your fault. And so an accredited investor is exempt. It's an exemption from the Security Exchange Commission's disclosure laws. And if you're not exempt, the investor has a potential liability saying, you didn't give me the right information. You misled me. So we don't like to see unaccredited investors because they represent a potential liability. That's not saying don't do that, but there's certain disclosure requirements. So the first thing we look at, one of the items in our first round due diligence is, let's see your cap table. What is the capitalization of the company? Where did the money come from? And so when we say cap table, we want a list of who owns the shares, what are the classes of shares you have, what types of restrictions. You're also limited on the number of individual investors you can have, and so to stay clear of that, and this is really important, you want your angel clubs to do this. We form a special purpose LLC. You have one investor to talk to. So we have a single representative. When I said there's 20 of us invested, you don't want to deal with all of us necessarily, and you certainly don't want to negotiate with all of us. So we have one spokesperson for the club. We form an LLC and we show up on your cap table as one investor. So the downside is liability. We like to see very little of that. The upside is, do you have some players that validate the business? So we would much rather see somebody from your industry that might have been on your advisory board. Why get an advisory board going? They validate it for you. So we love to see people from your industry as investors. Is that, Chris, do you want to add? Perfect. Yeah.
Just to follow up on that a little bit, so with some of your friends and family, they go to convertible debt with the potential to get equity. So how do you view that? That's different than having an equity stake and issuing shares.
We'll do it. We'll look at on a fully. We'll assume all converted. So we'll look at valuation as if it all converts.
Right.
So that's how we'll do our numbers. So we're going to presume success.
Okay.
Okay. I'll let it go then. Yeah.
You said don't go to angels prematurely. What's premature?
We're trying to engage early on in this Boost Michigan program and to coach and be involved. But we've seen some companies end up with looking foolish. So I think premature is just making sure you don't look foolish. If the story's absurd, and sometimes we see numbers that are, everybody gets coached, you got to have an exit for the investors, so tell them you're going to acquire. And some people are in industries that just simply aren't acquisitive. There hasn't been an acquisition in your industry in 50 years. Why are you going to be the first one? But people are coached. You got to tell them you're going to be acquired. Yeah.
You talked about 1 year to close. I mean, what's usually the standard for the due diligence process and to close on a deal?
That's something that organized clubs get together and annually we talk about those issues and what are best practices. And there's a debate as to how you execute your diligence work. We believe that we screen through Boost and our pitch nights and we get some members involved. Their goal is to get us a term sheet that says, if everything you said is true, we'll invest on these terms. The downside of that is everything you said isn't true. Your projections are generous. And so then you get in the fight and we come back and we say, well, we really think your numbers are half of what you said, and so so the valuation should be half of what you said. So doing the term sheet too early ends up in an ugly discussion. So you want to get the term sheet far enough down that you're close enough on valuation. But the term sheet is meant to say, here are the terms under which we'll invest, and all we want to do is validate the facts. And the facts better not be your financials, projections. If you don't have enough diligence to have some credibility and belief in the numbers, the angels aren't ready to invest. It wasn't unusual after the dot-com meltdown for venture funds to come in and say, here's $3 million, your company's worth 10, but here are the thresholds, and we're going to reprice on each milestone that you fail to hit. And that's just an ugly, horrible process to be going through. So we bought in at 10 million, but you missed the first milestone, you're now worth 9 million. You missed the next million, you're worth 6. And so we got in at 3 million instead of at 10 million. But then you have a horrible, horrible relationship with your investors. So, not sure if I answered that.
For a number, I would say minimum 3 months. Absolute minimum.
It's a lot or more direct answer. You want to answer your angels like that. When they ask a number, that's how you're supposed to answer. Yeah.
With respect to the law that was passed last year for the credit, 25% credit, and the pre-seed capital fund, there's a lot more incentive for angels to get out there and invest, correct?
Correct.
And you would favor a company that you would actually share risk in if they were eligible for the pre-seed capital fund?
Almost every deal we do, we run down to try to push through the pre-seed capital fund. That, if you're not familiar with that, that's a state-sponsored fund. It's out of the 21st Century Job Funds, which was capitalizing the tobacco settlement money for the state. And they will match our investment $1.50 on the dollar. So if we put in 100, we've got $250,000 round. So it's attractive, and they match our terms. The restrictions historically on it are still somewhat difficult. They don't allow a turnaround, so the company has to be less than 5 years. They picked industries, and so Michigan, with 1 out of 4 jobs in ag, wouldn't support ag tech. And 70% of all angel money goes into IT, and Michigan wouldn't support IT. So
They do have one fund for IT.
Pardon?
They do have one for IT now, right?
Well, yeah. Now, so they've now opened up for both ag tech and IT. So we've seen some improvements there. The benefit of that credit is important. It's front loaded, but it is also a problem. What we try to sell to organized clubs is diversification. We tell our members, put 5 into 5 deals, not 25 into 1. And now the credit runs in the face of what we've preached as risk management.
Because it's $20,000 minimum.
20,000, yeah. So that means our members are doing fewer deals and doing bigger. So in a way that's good though, because they're specializing, they're focusing in technologies. Chris, do you want to add?
They just need to invest more.
Yeah. Or we need more angels.
But it has to be an accredited investment. Qualifies.
Yeah, it's really crazy. We had the liberal Democratic administration giving a tax credit, and instead of letting us aggregate 5,000s, they said you have to aggregate 20,000. It's a rich man's tax credit. And I don't understand why that was coming from, why Granholm left us with that. It would have been better to share that. We got a lot more angels that'll do 5,000 in aggregate than do 20,000 steps. So this is a limited audience that gets that credit.
Because it's company specific, that's the reason.
Why the 20,000?
No, I mean, why it's limited. You got to put it, it's one company that qualifies.
Yeah, you can't, and if we aggregate 5,000 to, if we raise 250,000, but we raise it in small increments, we put up together the special purpose LLC, none of those people qualify for the credit. We asked, and we met with MEDC continually saying, if we do a $250,000 round, why can't we distribute the credit? We can't do that.
So there's no support currently on MEDC to tweak that?
I would bet you guys could help us create some support. We were there. Chris and I met with them continuously. We were on a panel that advised them on this legislation all year, and we met bi-monthly.
Yep.
What if the company refiles under a different name to qualify or come under that 5-year?
Good idea. We're interested. Lots of new codes. Yeah.
Is Snyder doing anything to change things up to make it a little more friendly?
Well, the first thing they did, and we appreciated it, was they opened up IT, which
Is IT 1.5? I mean, I heard before it was like one. If you were in IT, it was 1-to-1 match versus 1.5 to 1.
I don't think they matched IT at all.
You're talking pre-seed. So there's a separate fund that Spark manages, and I believe it is a 1-to-1, but we have never tapped into that, or have not yet tapped into that fund.
I guess that there's also revenue. The match fund has revenue life 5 years or less, unless it's a university technology. They're slow to do anything, so they get a longer window. So if you're an old company, affiliate with the university, and they'll give you. So the university are 5 years. There's a revenue cap.
Yeah, on the credit, there's a $10 million revenue cap.
I'm mixing up the match and the credit. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We drove too long.
Right?
Yeah.
So, on the tax credit, companies that are older than 5 years wouldn't apply. And what you just suggested, is that really happening, that companies are able to register as new companies?
We're new enough in the process, not to know how those are going to be approved. It's up. MEDC has a screening and approval process, and it's not clear. Those are specific implementations of the law that are deferred to MEDC. So I think we'll have to wait and see. There are a lot of great turnaround opportunities, that might be lost in this. Other
we got another, maybe one last question, anybody?
Well, we have one more item to share, if possible.
Go ahead.
Coming up on May 19th, we have our celebration of entrepreneurship and innovation for what started as Mid-Michigan and really has become a statewide event. It's one of the largest gatherings of investors and entrepreneurs in the state. This is our third year at it. We've showcased about 40 companies in trade show style booths with a VIP party with investors and venture capitalists and state leaders, community leaders, etc. As well as a keynote speaker by Dr. Ed Schaefer, one of the leaders of our portfolio companies, Advanced Battery Concepts. He's grown his company exponentially over the last year since we've invested, and Ken actually referenced him. We just closed a $1.6 million investment into him with a few other partners in that. And we also have Ned Stabler from the MEDC coming to do an update on what they're up to. But we do have a few spots left for those of you who are interested in coming to exhibit and network with us up in a little bit north of here. So Heather and I have packets, the little white exhibitor applications. We also have tickets if you need to, or if you'd just like to attend and don't want to exhibit at this point. But May 19th, up north in Midland, starting at 3:30, we have, or 3 o'clock, we have some training workshops both on valuing your company and what we call first blood, getting your first sale. You are no company without customers, so we want to help you do that. And then that leads into the VIP party, then the speaker series, or the keynote speakers, some awards, and a night on basically the concourse of the Dow Diamond, just like you're going to a sports game, only you're going to see the future of Michigan.
With beer and hot dogs.
With beer and hot dogs. All the beer you can drink. So please come let us know if you'd like more information, and thank you for having us.
What's the website?
Our website is www.mmic.us. That's the Mid-Michigan Innovation Center. And BlueWater Angels is bluewaterangels.com.
I have to say that I actually was there last year for the event, and this year I'm actually, I can't make it because we're launching, but I tell you, it's a great opportunity to showcase your company to one of the largest, like Chris said, group of investors that could be possibly looking at your company and your business.
The one thing I would say that we try to really be fundamentally different about is we're trying to bring investors to the table, not government administrative support people. The state has a lot of really great talented support resources, but that's not our niche. And so we like to use them as complements. We like to refer people to them. I'm not in any way disappointed in the work we've seen done by SBTDC or any of the EDAs around the state, but we want our conversations to be with investors. Thank you.
Here's the website, by the way, if you listening to it. And,
Okay. Melanie, we'll try this one again. She goes, oh, ramp down. And then she had to ramp down.
Good evening. I'm not Carla Walker-Miller, as you can see. More beautiful. My name is Melanie Steele. I'm the Vice President of Operations for Walker-Miller Energy Services. We're an 11-year-old company, primarily started as a transmission and distribution supplier for DTE, Consumers Energy, and City of Detroit Public Lighting Department. Recently, we actually transitioned about 3 years ago when the FPSC Public Act 295 started pushing a lot of the energy efficiency projects on the table. We decided that we're going to shift our business model from an 80-20, 80% being products and 20% being services, and flipping it around, doing an 80% services and 20% products. So what we're currently doing is we're providing energy audits and retrofits for commercial and residential businesses. We also provide energy training and education as part of our sustainability model. Do I need a mic?
Excited by you.
Sorry, I just got. So, starting over again, Walker Miller Energy Services provides commercial and residential energy audits for our customers. In addition to that, part of our model was to build sustainability within the state of Michigan. So we've added education as part of our business model. We have, currently, we're providing mandated utility energy optimization programs for utility companies like DTE and Consumers Energy. What we need currently is $100,000 to add in additional employees for marketing and as well as operations. We actually need working capital. We're growing in leaps and bounds, especially in the residential energy space, because of the funding that the state of Michigan received. We're doing a lot of weatherization energy audits and retrofits in the residential space, and hiring, growing, paying payroll, and and executing all of the marketing strategies that needs to happen in order for us to get to the next level is critical. And so therefore we're looking for some money. We're hoping that we could get at least $100,000 for this year, and our projected revenues by 2016 is actually at $12 million with a 40% rate of return for our 40% margin, rather, not rate of return. I stand corrected. The current problem right now in the marketplace is that we have rising energy costs and uncomfortable customers. What we're doing to solve that problem is, of course, providing solutions to commercial and residential customers by making their homes and their facilities more comfortable through energy audits and optimization. We have, I'm not prepared to do this because Carlo is supposed to do this. We have a holistic, I take a holistic approach in terms of energy optimization and auditing. I think that the very first thing that any business or any homeowner should do is actually look at their energy bill. That's one thing that you can control by reducing it, by making yourself more energy efficient, and by tacking on alternative energy as part of your solution. That's really, in essence, what we do for residential and commercial customers. Energy efficiency, as well as the alternative energy, is a large and growing market. Nationally, it's projected that there's going to be about an $11.3 billion spent coming from ERA funds. There's an $8.6 billion ratepayer money because energy optimization is going to be mandated for all 50 states. Right now, Home Energy Star has about $6 billion worth of funding that's going to be coming down in the pipeline from the states down to the municipalities, down to the homeowners and the businesses. Michigan is poised for a growth of over $500 million over the next 2 years in energy efficiency alone. Energy efficiency is a crowded marketplace. These are our competitors. We have Johnson Controls, Honeywell, Well Home, Siemens, Kema, and our customers reflective is DTE, the City of Detroit. We have schools, Better Buildings for Michigan. Kema is also actually our client. Consumers Energy, the Pontiac School District, as well as Johnson Controls. What's our competitive edge? Why are we different from everybody else? For one, energy is an emerging sector currently in the state of Michigan, and we're positioning ourselves to be one of the low-cost providers, as well as creating a positive marketplace for consumers and customers alike. We have a defined niche market. We know what we want. We want people in every home, in every workplace, to have a comfortable living space, and that's achieved by helping them, by educating them, by providing them with solutions to become more energy efficient, and by reducing their bill. We're a minority and 100% women-owned, and we are committed to long-term opportunities. So if we have to define our, okay, 45 seconds. If we're defining our niche
It would be our medium-sized customer whose annual energy bills exceeds $150,000. We're committed to decreasing energy bills, and most of the building stock in Michigan actually have not had a major energy retrofit, and so those are our prime customer targets. We have actually, Walker Miller Energy Services positioned itself so that we'll have multiple growth revenue streams as well as a diversified portfolio. That's why when we envisioned our business model, we created a commercial space, a residential space, and an educational piece to make sure that when one, okay, say one more thing. So that when we, at the end of the day, when one business is lagging, you have other businesses that you're going to pursue to balance out your revenues. Thank you so much.
Yeah. 5 minutes.
Yes.
Can you, what would be some alternative energy solutions projects you might be working on?
We are actually, Tecton is one of our clients, so we'll be outfitting Tech 1 building with a solar panel as well as a wind turbine.
You mentioned there's $500 million. Is that money that's specifically allocated to the state specifically for energy audits?
Not necessarily energy audits. It also includes energy optimization audits as well as retrofits.
Any more questions?
Melanie, what percentage of your projects are subsidized either state or federally versus supported?
Currently, only one of the projects is subsidized by the state. It's called Better Buildings for Michigan, and that's the residential piece. All the other ones are actually they're not subsidized at all.
For training and education, is that like commercial training?
Both. We actually do two things. Part of our energy audit encompasses a behavior modification for the users. So we do energy education training for instances when we perform energy audits. So we do that on the back end. And then the second part of the education piece that we do is that we recognize that there's going to be some brain drain happening in Michigan in the next 20 to 30 years if we don't continue the work of sustaining energy and engineering. So we actually work with schools like the Pontiac School District as well as academies here in Detroit to make sure that we're actively taking an active role in the STEM utilization, science, technology, engineering, and math, and using alternative energy as a platform for them to learn.
You mentioned $12 million in revenues by 2016. It's 4 or 5 years away.
Yes.
How did you come up with those numbers?
Because of our diversified portfolio in terms of our business, we actually sell, the last 4 years, our revenues has been floating anywhere from 12 to 16 million. So 12 million is actually a pretty conservative number for us. We have a line of meters that we sell to DTE. That's the bulk of that. We also have a cable, a composite cable that we sell. So we still have a lot of products as well as the services that we foresee that we're forecasting.
For example, the DTE contract, that's a long-term contract?
It is. It's a 4-year contract.
Yes.
Do you also recommend alternative suppliers, alternative energy, other suppliers? That's a big issue because of the caps that are currently on going to alternatives. Do you get involved with that?
We do. We actually take a neutral position. We take a neutral position when it comes to recommendations. We give them what's most recommended, what's priority, and what's least recommended. So we customize our audits to make sure that the customer understands what they're trying to do, where they want to be, and how we can get them there. Did I answer your question?
There's 2,500 businesses on a waiting list to go outside of the traditional suppliers.
because of costs. And it's blocked because the legislature put a cap
Oh, yes, I'm aware.
on the number that have to stay with the big guys, and they can't go. So, I mean, it almost seems ridiculous that businesses can't go to competition that can in fact serve them at a lower cost.
I absolutely agree with you. DTE actually and Consumers Energy are protected, but through mandates.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's
And
ridiculous. I mean, it's
well, MPSC is regulated by ratepayers, right? We're ratepayers. So if we want to change the system, we're really going to have an active voice within the MPSC work groups in order to, for them to actually start changing it. I mean, DTE and customers have a guaranteed profit margin every year, whether or not we want it. They can't. I think their rate of return is at 8%. They have to make 8% or more. Otherwise, I don't know. MPSC, I guess, upsets it.
Any more questions?
Well, on that note, I think we're out of time.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to switch tapes while Bryan comes on up. While we're switching tapes, there's popcorn ready outside if anyone wants to dive out real quickly before Bryan starts.
And the exit begins. Somebody did this out. Those are clapping state.
Roger, does it work better if everyone uses a mic?
Yes.
Ah, okay.
I think for the people in here too.
By the time that line goes through there.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind.
You just flew around videotaping every new tech event.
That's right.
That's your life calling.
Should have had you guys bring some food.
Huh? We should, yeah, that should be our thing. That should be our stick. Like, we should bring food.
Okay.
Sure, we get some of our customers to cater for us for free advertising.
Absolutely. Talk about that.
Good idea.
How are you?
Good.
Let's go ahead and get started. Bryan Kunka is going to be our next presenter. I always ask him, just a little bit of background. Bryan used to juggle professionally. At the time, he was able to juggle 7 balls, torches, knives. What about chainsaws?
Never chainsaws.
Never chainsaws? That's the one I think people are really crazy to do. So I'm glad there is some sense in him. And Bryan is also one of the pilots of Wisdom U. So you should feel at home in this building. This is very home. So, Bryan, go ahead and take it away. 5 minutes.
Hello, everybody. Again, my name is Bryan Kunka. I'm excited to be here. I'm one of the co-founders of the Picket Report. The Picket Report is an online neighborhood research tool. What we do is we help people that are moving or relocating identify which neighborhood that they want to live in, and we do this by providing detailed information regarding personas of people that live on every block in every neighborhood across the entire country. We also talk about information regarding, where are the schools at? Are they good schools, bad schools? Where is the crime at? And what is the walkability of the area? And when we're talking about walkability, we're just talking about, where's the day-to-day stuff? Where's the banks, the bars, the entertainment, that type of thing. So what we do is we provide all of this information in a very easy-to-use, very visual, map-based product that's through our website. So traditionally what people do is they go online and they're going to hop onto these 3 websites. These are kind of the big players in the online real estate game. Unfortunately for Zillow, Trulia, Realtor, none of these guys offer any type of neighborhood demographic information, lifestyle information. They provide a little bit of schools, but nothing, nothing that's really big. So what you have to do if you keep digging is you have to find like one of our competitors, which is Neighborhood Scout. And Neighborhood Scout, they provide all of this information in a very data, very statistical driven manner. Okay, it doesn't help you identify, where things are and that type of thing. You can also go to a different competitor called City Data and get charts and graphs, which are equally less impressive. So this doesn't help you decide where you want to live. It gives you some numbers, but after 30 seconds, you leave their site quickly. So again, what we do is we provide everything in a very visual manner. So we want you to be able to zoom in, play around with it, feel what the area looks like. For our demographic information, for example, where I live in Dearborn Heights, my demographic on my block and like 6 blocks over, it says that we like to watch HGTV because we like doing our own home improvement projects. And we have on average 4 televisions, but not the latest operating system of Windows. We'll go on vacation to golf, and we like watching football and hockey on TV. And we'll pay to have a deck built, but we'll cut our own grass. So this is the type of information that we're going to be able to provide to people that are moving to a new area or relocating. So what we do is we are going to be targeting real estate agents and relocation companies. Honestly, it's too expensive to kind of target what we consider our end user. So we're going through the people that they work with on a daily basis when they're looking for a house. So we target the relocation and the real estate people to be able to give this to their clients as a value add. Typically what we're going to be charging is anywhere from $99 on up to these real estate agents, to these real estate brokers and relocation companies, just depending on the size. And in return, what we're able to give them is we're able to give them behind the scenes metrics, what the client is most interested in, which areas do they spend the most time on, did they like the schools or the park, or what compelled them to each area for each neighborhood. And now the real estate agent isn't driving them around, spending hours of time trying to figure out which neighborhood the person wants to live in. They're able to identify, based off of, the user's habits, what they're most interested in, and they can say, oh, for your price range of $150,000, let's look on these 3 blocks, and it helps the real estate agent save time. So right now, with our data provider and our information, contribution margin is around 50%. Like Milton and Tan said, we are a product of BizDMU. So there's the Bryans, me and blue shirt over there, and then also the Pat, which is who we brought on to develop this. He's our CTO. So we're the people that are designing and building and aggregating all of this data and putting it together in a very user-friendly manner. So like I mentioned, we are a product of BizDMU. BizDMU is a product of Dan Gilbert, whose building we're somewhat in, 4 floors of it at least. So our company merges really well with all of his companies: Quicken Loans, Mortgage, In-House Realty, Real Estate, Quizzle, which is personal finance, and then Title Source. He owns 42 different companies, or he's a part of 42 different companies, and we fit in really well with a lot of them. So what we're here today, we're asking for 2 things. $95,000 is kind of an investment that we feel would make sense to help improve our company. If you're not interested in investing, we are definitely more than happy to take any type of referrals that you have from real estate brokers or ins with relocation companies, whether they be for a specific company or like one of the big 3, Ford, GM, Chrysler, or somebody that works in the relocation department. So that's what we're looking for. If you have any questions whatsoever, I'm more than happy to answer them. So thank you.
their prices, or whatever, they're like right on the spot.
Exactly. Q&A.
Yes, sir.
Aren't the BizDumU graduates also get an investment from Dan?
We do receive an investment through the BizDumU fund, which is ultimately Dan Gilbert.
And has that been quantified yet, or?
Yeah, we received $80,000 for our initial funding.
And what does $95,000 get an investor?
We are more than happy to talk to you about it.
Okay.
Yes.
So I wasn't clear about the data collection. Where are you guys collecting it, aggregating it, buying it?
We're a data aggregator, so we work with companies that compile all this information. Schools, like I said, there's schools, there's crime information, what we call walkability. There's a company called WalkScore that puts together all of this information. So, and then our neighborhood demographics, where I talked about the personas, we're able to put that together from data mining companies. They do all this research. So we're taking everything that's very fragmented in the industry right now and putting it together in one central location. If you've ever had to relocate, it is such a pain to try to identify where everything is and which neighborhood to go. You basically throw a dart at a map. So we're able to take this information that's already out there and compile it into an easy place to go.
Nice one. Quick.
Sure.
Is there a are you gonna do any kind of like recommendation engine type stuff? Is that?
Yeah,
doing some of that?
we're going to be going to beta by the end of this month, or right around beginning of June. We're going to be launched by July 1st. Sometime in between June and July, we are going to be doing what we call the reverse search. You kind of put in the criteria of what you feel you fit in best with, maybe age, demographics, schools, whatever is important to you, and then maybe plot it up against, I want to be 30 minutes from work, and we're going to give you recommendations, what neighborhoods, which cities to look at, within the drive time that you want to be. Yes,
I presume that a lot of your capital is going in actually paying for the data.
It's actually not too bad.
Not too bad?
No, surprisingly.
With that said, someone who has more capital, do you have any IP strength that's going to keep you well positioned in the market?
That's a great question. One of the things that we are targeting is to start gathering data when our end users everybody has to fill out like the registration form to be able to get into the site. We're going to start developing data, or gathering data rather, that helps us understand, what their time frames are. Eventually, we're going to become, our own data aggregator to be able to, to have, our IP and that. And we're at the very initial stages of figuring out what data is important. Since we work with Quicken Loans and in-house realty, we have a lot of different avenues to try to figure out, where it's most valuable. Most likely it's going to be most valuable right back to the mortgage side of things, so we'll probably steer a lot of our data that way. But we have a lot of room for growth. So that's very important to us to be able to have something that's not just aggregated data, that's going to have something that is, our own data. Yes, sir.
What milestones do the 95,000 get you to, and what's the next round look like, and when?
Sure, that's a great question. The 95,000, basically, that's gonna help hire some people. We're looking at a salesperson, possibly a couple interns, and we anticipate that will get us probably in the area of, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I'm not the numbers guy. That's a good question. I can get back to you on the actual answer for that. I don't want to give you wrong information. Yes.
Bryan, one of the real struggles with data mining is the insightful inference. And you gave some real clever ones. I've got too many TVs and I don't have a current release of the operating system. Or I buy my deck but mow my lawn.
Right.
That's hard to do, and it's also hard to present and create a usable interface. So you showed a table and said that's not a good way, and then you showed graphs and that's not a good way. What's the good way for presenting clever inferences? And are you going to create those?
Right.
You're going to create those
Yeah, that's a great question. It's something I didn't have on the presentation. Yeah, so everything is going to be heat map based. So it seems like there's other people, truly as the large company that's in our area that is investing money towards this lifestyle demographics. And so everything kind of in this area is going towards the heat map. So you'll be able to identify based on your neighborhood, dark red will tell you what this heat map means. And then when you zoom in or zoom out, it's going to update dynamically. So yeah, you'll be able to, we feel that way. We feel that through the heat map is really the way that is most visual. I really goofed it up, but so yeah, so we're just trying to get it to where you're able to work on a map, pan and zoom, and really play and feel with what's going on in the area. So we think that's the best way.
Okay. Christian? While we're switching slides here, Christian Marcillo is going to come up and talk next. Christian told me that he's been working on understanding how we interact with our technological devices. Undergraduate degree was the most useful to him, and that involved the study of insect societies and group interactions. So when the rest of us go, ugh, bugs, like, professor, bugs. That helps them understand how we interact with our technologies. Future Health Designs is also part of the Pontiac Rise of the Phoenix. It's already provided a home for 52 brand new businesses that are starting up. So involved with some really cool stuff. So Christian, go ahead.
Okay. This is loud enough, yeah? Okay. So my name is Christian Marcillo, co-owner of Future Health Designs and Director of Creative Designs in regards to that. Understanding how we interact with technology and using really cool tools like the ever-popular iPhone and the iPad. We are mobile app developers. We're based in Pontiac. We create apps for consumers. We've gone after our own funding by doing contract development for others. We also train other app developers because there is a lack of app developers within the state. So we provide that training. And we are now, as part of the Rise of the Phoenix program, growing a new avenue as well as providing a new shared workspace for developers to be able to hash out their app idea and co-collaborate with others as well. So Rise of the Phoenix was able to provide us some of those resources. And it's not going to be part of this presentation, but we'd be glad to talk about it afterwards. The industries that we do development in is in psychology, healthcare, gaming, enterprise, productivity, automotive sales, marketing, education, and audio. We focus on the gaming strategy because gamification is important in order to how you engage with applications. Really understanding how you engage with an app and encouraging you to go in and continue to use the application. So what I'm presenting to you today is a case study. It's one of our developments internally. It is a behavioral assessment app for school psychologists. That market in particular is extremely mobile. There may be one school psychologist for a district, there may be a few, but they're traveling from classroom to classroom, school to school in some instances. And there may be an opportunity where maybe it's an intern that's walking in and out of a classroom to do an observation. So IBAA is that tool. They can walk into a classroom, sit in the back, and observe a class, watch a student. And what they typically do now is they walk into that classroom with a laptop, and every single child in that class knows exactly what's going on that day. Right now they can put in the iPhone and the earbuds, and they say, oh, he's just listening to music today. Or maybe he's sending a text message, he's not really observing us. So it's data entry for that school psychologist to be able to do it without a distraction. We also provide protection on the data because we are gathering information on patients or students. An item that they love is customizable data fields And while they are in the classroom, they can get an assessment. A lot of times what they'll do is they'll take their laptop, they have to take their eyes away from the observation and look at the student. With quick thumb locations, they can identify where that is now. There are 5 major assessment tools: qualitative, cumulative, interval, functional behavioral, and learning environment. So there's a lot of tools that are packed into the application. Typically what they can do now is they get 1 or 2 of these functions. We put them all within one application for them. The App Store price is currently on sale for $129. Apple's take, we know, is 30%. And the educator discount, because this is a market that we're in, 50%. Apple provides that. It's just a checkbox that we check as developers. The minimum order is 20 copies, because we know that in that market there are a few folks in there that are purchasing 20 copies for their interns. So the product launch, we've had it out on the App Store for a little over a year. We did a soft launch in order to gather some beta testing and determine what was the field really looking for. The official launch was 9 weeks ago at NASS, the National Association for School Psychologists. We ended up finding out there was an interest from competing companies that were wondering how a non-psychology company entered into the field. And the booth traffic, we gathered interest in there and managed to lose a few voices as well. So the business to date, we've had 9 weeks just doing the NASS, so it's not heavy marketed. We've had 57 downloads. Items that we've discovered are some of our barriers is a school purchase order process. So the psychologist finds it. They are likely, they may download it on their own, or they could go the route through the school. The district IT is also a challenge, and it's also the end of the school season. So the NASS was at that end of the year. The successes, Iowa is interested in it. They actually did purchase their copies. They're a leader in school psychology. What they do leads the state, the country. And we're doing a case study within California with a large student population. What we're asking for is promotional partners within the psychology community and experts familiar with negotiating expertise and strategic partnerships.
Any questions?
That's one app of the capability of having a broad portfolio. Why bet so much on one app, and why not just spin that one out and do the next?
The strategic growth that we were looking at for app development within our internal products was we knew that the market was primed for education. So we chose the market of school psychologists in order to start entering that field. They had the capital to purchase the product their own, or could go through the purchase order process within the school district. A family product that we also have out on the App Store right now is Keep in Mind. They're both on that little yellow card that we handed out. Keep in Mind is the other alternative or the partner to that. IDAA does the assessments. After you complete an assessment, you want to do a plan based on that assessment. So it is a behavior improvement plan app. You think of it this way. The children are already playing the game. If you're able to interrupt their game, interrupt their Facebook, and remind them, hey, did you do your homework tonight? So that app goes on there. It's different than the calendar function. It will randomize it. It also gathers data, so you can ask the question, which assignment are you working on right now? So that at the end of the week, you could do follow-up as well. We are working on partnerships right now elsewhere within the education field. So those are some of the additional products that are coming down.
I guess I was just a little confused. So you had all these different categories. It sounds like the core of the business, though, is very narrowly focused on the child psychology market?
No, that was a case study for today.
Oh.
Yeah. There's a large, broader market that we are involved with.
So is there any other major web apps developing teams that are focusing on like these strategic educational niche that you guys are competing with, and then how do you guys stack up against them, or is this just really the beginning of a whole new wave of apps that really hasn't been talked about or discussed or marketed as much?
It's obviously, it's an app, so everybody's looking at where those potentials are. The competitors within the industry, the largest one being Pearson, is looking at how they can enter into this field, particularly with the school psychologists. They're having a challenge with the user interface and how to actually implement what they already have as an online tool to make it into a mobile device. Their focus is primarily in data gathering. Ours is in data gathering for that specific purpose. Theirs is on trending.
Do you develop on any other platforms?
We currently only develop for iOS. We design for mobile in general, but we focused on the iOS. What we've discovered for our contract development is that the vendors that we work with cannot find that iOS development. They most likely have a Java developer or someone else develop on another platform. However, those developers don't understand mobile design, so we work with them that way. And we have that same partnership. If this were to go to other platforms, we could leverage those partnerships or our own engineering teams. We have not chosen to take this onto other platforms because of Android with the security risks. Plus, with that educational market, kids are not buying Android devices, they're buying iPod touches.
How much of your services right now are split between your training as well versus your app?
Our services right now is the core of our business. We are using those services to launch these internal products. So it was spent first on the development, now we're working on the marketing portion.
So you're pretty much at this time looking for someone or a company that facilitates strategic partnerships. Is there any company that is specializing in doing this for app developers currently that you're aware of?
Okay. Great. Thank you very much. Okay, next we have Hannah. Hannah's going to talk about the joy of the world. Two things. With all the techies that we have running around, Hannah has a psychology degree. And she found that's probably the most useful thing in dealing with people in the technical world. We always start with the product need, et cetera, et cetera. The first thing that they came up with was their shirts. The shirts were first. They said, okay, cool shirts. Now, what are we going to do for a product to support it? So we'll let them go ahead and take it from there.
Hi, my name is Hannah Gornik. I'm the technical team lead. Our founder, actually, for FoodCircles is on a much-needed vacation right now. This is Darren Rowada, one of my colleagues, kind of the business guy. So our team, Jonathan, has had this idea for a while. We actually pulled together at Startup Weekend. And FoodCircles is a social platform where restaurants can offer discounts to existing groups of users who are on the point of making a purchase decision about where they're about to go out to eat. So that's the basic concept, but let's step back a bit and say, what's the issue? There's people out there offering discounts all over the place, right? So you've got Groupon is an obvious one. We'll do a little comparison with them. Restaurant.com is offering some half-price gift certificates and things like that. And you get all those little flyers on paper in your mail all the time offering discounts to local restaurants. So what about that isn't working? Well, Groupon, not so good. They're focused on one area, but sometimes the area is as broad as Chicago. Maybe people on the other side of the city don't want to drive to Elmhurst for smoothing and strengthening hair treatments. It's only one deal, and they're trying to create behavior. This guy might be in the market for a manicure, but maybe not everyone is. So we've got, and they also require decisions in advance, as does Restaurant.com. So you have to say, well, I want to spend $100 at this restaurant in 2 months, rather than say, I want to go out to dinner right now. They're not so great for restaurants either. This is becoming more of the buzz around Groupon, I think, is that it's not a great deal for the restaurant. So they get these crowd blitzes. So if you're like a massage parlor, you have to hire a bunch of new massage therapists. If you're a restaurant, you have to lay on new wait staff. You get waits. You got these people who waited 30 minutes, no service, and that's not going to bring your customers back through your door. So at all. And let's say you offer a $100 spend. It gets discounted at Groupon. The person gets it for $50. Groupon, we know, worse than whoever took 30% of the App Store. It's 50% approximately from Groupon. So the restaurant is actually getting $25. Yes, they get that up front. They do get to capitalize a little bit, but it's not a great deal. And for the chains, like the upper right there, they get all these other customers who bought a Groupon to a different member of their chain, and they're not so thrilled by the fact that they can't honor or don't want to honor those Groupons. So that's one example. But restaurant.com is similar as well. So that makes the return on investment for a Groupon pretty blurry for a restaurant. FoodCircles, pretty awesome. So for the end user, let's say you and your friends are hungry. You want to go out to dinner now. There's 4 of you. You want Thai food. You don't have time to check what was the Groupon today. No, it's not applicable to us. Or we can't get a restaurant.com certificate mailed to us in time for us to go out tonight. So what we're offering is a place for restaurants to actually basically bid on your business by offering you a bunch of different instant deals that you can choose from. So it might be, this restaurant will offer you a bottle of wine in addition to your meal for free. Or if you buy 3 entrees, they'll give you the 4th one for free. You'll be able to scroll through those deals and choose the one that you want and act on it right away. So what the user sees is the results of the restaurant competition. So that's what our mobile app looks like. Basically, they pull it up. They see a list of the different restaurants that are offering a deal for Thai food for a group of 4. And the restaurant can actually modify their deals. So let's say on Thursday night they're trying to get the college crowd, so they'll offer 50-cent wings. Maybe on Sunday they want the Sunday brunch crowd, so they'll offer 3 meals, you get the 4th for free. So they can modify their deals at any time and have total control over what they offer. For the restaurant, they're going to pay us for actual traffic. We're not asking them for potential traffic. They're going to pay us for the actual people who walk through their door. So on nights when they're slower, they can up the deal that they want to offer. And FoodCircles allows them to connect with users who are actually on the point of purchase. We're not forcing them to create some sort of demand that isn't there. For the financial value, it's a flat fee from the restaurant based on the group size that they pay us, so they're our customers. It's free for the diners, no advance purchase or reservation. Already functioning on our website right now, so we would give them a login and kind of teach them how to use a pretty simple system. So they could set their initial deals that way. They can leave them like that forever if they want. But
go on and update at the minute. So if they're getting a lot of people in, if it's a busy night, they don't want to put those deals out there, they can shut it off right then.
It's as simple as logging in.
It won't show up on your phone when you're looking or if you're trying to plan ahead.
Yeah, you can just log in and hit the discounts are listed there for the restaurant. They can just hit delete, and it's gone from the system. Same database that the mobile app hits, it's just gone.
So the restaurants have to have a computer system in order to...
It would be the computer, yeah, if they want to access it. They could access it from a phone as well, a smartphone.
But, so do you have to actually go in and set this up, or are you going to be set up in such a way that they can go in and they can set the whole process themselves and, you know, through some kind of tutorial?
Yep, we've got both options right now. If you go in as a salesperson, there's a key that you enter both to get your commission and to kind of route you through a different user path on the website. So then you would actually help the restaurant set up deals in person. The restaurant can also log in just, you know, from the open web. Someone could just find us and sign up if they want to, but we'd actually have to validate that they're a real restaurant. So we wouldn't let them do the full deal process until we confirmed that they weren't just spamming us with requests. So.
This might be a small thing, but names are important. FoodCircles.com, I just went to that site, and it's not you. So FoodCircles.net or FoodCircle.es, right, is you. But if you don't have a .com, it's kind of a dangerous thing. So
we've been trying very hard to buy that .com, says the tech team lead. It is, yeah.
All right. So
whatever the circles.com people, they won't let it go. So we are trying, and we might have to consider a name change.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Is if you're going to encourage you to be open to that, because that's important.
Yes, I agree that it is.
Is that it? Great. Thank you very much. Tom? While we're finding the missing presentation, it's in there somewhere. We have Tom Valenti come on up. Tom is one of the many people who grew up in Michigan, moved out, saw the light of day, and came on back to Michigan to help us grow and expand our activities here. His Product Connect is an online tool to help people care for their aged parents, particularly as people start moving out of state and parents stay in a different location. That's going to become more and more important. I'm going to have you step over here and just better contrast. Take it away.
All right, hi, I'm Tom Valenti, founder of ConnectAid, and we've had a lot of great presentations. I really like FoodCircles. I'm sure everybody's hungry right now, but before we can go and eat, we have to talk about old people. Really, we're not talking about old people. As people age, they're looking for individuals to care for them, and they're looking to you. If you have aging parents, if you have an aging loved one, they're going to look to you for help. Right now, 45 million Americans are currently caring for an aging loved one, providing them help at least once a week. If you add up all the out-of-pocket expenses and the long-term care expenses and the lost productivity, I realize this is the windshield wiper in the auto market, but it adds up to about $1 trillion a year. So what does this mean for you? Well, let's say this is your family. Dad lives in Michigan. You live out of state, and your siblings are spread across the country. This is not abnormal for a lot of people in Michigan or in the country, especially with relatives in Michigan. Dad's living by himself. He's doing great, but unfortunately something bad happens. He has a slip, he has a fall, he has something worse, a stroke, or Alzheimer's. You rush in, you try to figure out how to care for him, what to do. You don't know what to do. But what you want to do, your goal is to get to a point where Dad is happy, where you're comfortable with his care. In order to get to that point, though, you're going to face a maze. You're not going to know what to do. You're not going to know where to begin. You're going to face a lot of questions and not have a lot of answers, but you're going to find out there's services in the area that can help you, but you don't know how to find them. You don't have a plan. You don't know what to do. Well, ConnectAid is the solution. Just go to ConnectAid, type in your zip code, choose Dad's ailment. Let's say Dad has some form of dementia, and a care action plan will pop up for you. This organizes you. This will be your guide through the journey. This is created through expertise and through a lot of research, and this will guide you down step by step. Follow the steps, go through. It'll tell you kind of what to do, what to think about. And if something doesn't make sense, you can scroll over it and a blue box will pop up and give you further information. And you'll see some things are listed in blue. For those that are listed in blue, they have a service affiliated with that. So click on that and this local service in the area will pop up. You can sort these alphabetically by distance or by rating. So other ConnectAid members can rate and review their experiences with these services. If you really like a service, you can add them to your preferred services list, and you can manage that on your account profile page. Here you have Dad's important information, his phone numbers. You can put his medications, you have his assigned care action plans, you share a calendar with your family, you discuss Dad's care with the family. You control who has access to this through a password. And you might be saying, well, this is great, but how does ConnectAid make money? Well, there's some limited advertising, but if you are a service affiliated with some aspect of caregiving, you can create your own profile on ConnectAid, and if somebody is searching for your particular service, you pop up first. They can view additional details on you, pictures, information, even your Facebook like box if you want, and they can contact you through the site. They can send you a message. And if you receive a message from them, you just pay a sales lead for that to ConnectAid. So you've got ads, you've got service professional marketplace, and also it's very easy to white label or co-brand this for a large organization, a company, hospital, a nonprofit. It's fairly easy to do. We're in discussions with some companies to do that right now. So why am I here? Well, I'd love to hear what people think of the site. I built the site using a contractor, so I really need to build out a technical team, and looking for investors as well. So please get in touch with me. Look for ConnectAid in Entrepreneur Magazine at the end of this month. I just received word that we're going to be listed as 100 brilliant companies.
So as governments are looking to figure out how to lower their Medicaid costs, what is in your model so far that would be able to assist the states in that department in working through the system? Is there something in that aspect that you're developing, or?
It could help them in terms of you won't have overlap. You'll be the user will be able to look through it and look at the care decisions in a systematic way, as opposed to trying to get 4 different services that have overlap. That could be a way. You're also engaging the family in the care of the loved one over an extended period of time. So they're going to take, hopefully, better care of the loved one. You're not going to have more frequent trips to the emergency room, and that could save money that way.
So, Tom, the labor-intensive part seems to be building your templates for a particular. You build a template for a stroke, for dementia. That seems all manual. Is there a way to? There's no way to really automate that part, right? So that's the labor-intensive part of it.
No, but that's kind of you want to. I can approach it like an allrecipes.com where people can put their own recipes up there. That's one way to automate it, but you kind of caring for someone is an emotional process, and you kind of want some experts to put that together.
So how many of those do you have built now?
There's 9 up there right now.
Tom?
Yes.
Is there any intention of interfacing this to medical information like EMRs or disease registries where they go to a doctor's visit, that stuff gets uploaded automatically so you can see the update?
Sure, that could be a way. There would be additional security levels that we have to
HIPAA requirements.
we have to put on that. Right now, Connect 8 is in the kind of a care pages or caring bridge area where the family has control of the information, so they have the responsibility for it, and it's protected behind a password. But if we were to go to a hospital and have an electronic medical record, then you're talking about additional security layers. But there could be that, and
because I can see the community relationship with the primary caregivers for this patient as well, and for just relatives that aren't directly there.
Yes, I think it could be used that way. I think from a hospital standpoint, they could list their individual physicians and their different specialties. You could also have, with accountable care organizations starting up now, they're trying to vertically integrate with home care agencies and nursing homes, and this could be a tool that we could use. We could co-brand or white label with a medical system.
And my father-in-law is in this situation, and he fell for the first time in December, and then we got him Lifeline. So, you have any thoughts about linking up with people like that?
Sure, there is a way for Lifeline, or people don't know Lifeline's still falling. I can't get a company. There is a way to, they can create their own listing on the site. And when people go through the different steps, they say one step is to look at getting some home monitoring, and their information would pop up. They could sponsor the site. They could put some advertising on the site. So yeah, there's lots of different services involved, and there's ways to hopefully partner with all of them.
Yeah, what are your competitors in this market?
From online caregiving tools, there are lots of databases out there. So if you want to find a nursing home in your area or assisted living in your area, there's lots of sites to do that. But they don't, you have to know what you're looking for. You have to know I'm looking for a nursing home or I'm looking for assisted living. You have to know the difference. There's also caring.com is the biggest online caregiver site. They get about 1 million visitors a month. And there are a lot of blogs, articles. You can read a ton of articles on Alzheimer's and continence, but they don't necessarily give you the actionable information that you want right away. This is kind of the recipe to follow.
Yeah, My Healthy Vets is for the Veterans Administration. That may be another area because they do have information there that is about scheduling and planning the care for the patient. But it would be really beneficial for the family to have access to as well.
My Healthy Vets.
Well, that concludes the formal program. As always, we will stay around. People can mingle and talk with other folks. Before we break, are there any announcements coming up other than May 19th, which nobody better forget? Are there any other announcements that people want to make?
I think we should use FoodCircles to find a place to eat.
Sorry, speak up, please.
FoodCircles.
Okay.
We have Momentum coming up in Grand Rapids on May 19th, so make sure you register on our D-NewTech. There's an opportunity to register there.
I video this on Ustream and live stream it, but it's recorded also. So anybody that wants to share a clip of the presentation, you sign onto Ustream. You can have your own free account. Watch the presentation and define your own highlight. It's you drag a begin and an end and you name it, and you can share that as a separate URL on your blog or on your email or whatever. So if there's a particular part of this you want to share with somebody, they don't have to watch the whole thing. You can just give them that little clip.
I also want to mention to you guys, I just looked at my meetup, is that I know a lot of you were looking for some developer for some mobile devices. We got the Mobile Monday event going up this coming Monday at Copper, which is on the first floor here. So it's a great, it's a really good group of people to tell us about this type of mobile technology for those who are looking.
The Michigan Venture Capital Growth Capital Symposium is May 10th and 11th. I think Connect Day should be there, definitely, because there's a lot of medical and healthcare related venture capitalists there that they might find they might have some strategic investments or a need for this in conjunction with what they're doing already.
Is that in the GLQ list of all the hot things that are happening?
Yes, it is. May 10th and 11th on Ypsilanti.
Oh, great.
Michigan Growth Capital Symposium.
And if you sign up before the 6th, you can get $100 off.
And then it's our first Friday event for TechTown. This coming Friday.
Anything else? Yes.
If any of the companies are looking for interns through the Shifting Gears program at Wayne State, there's an opportunity. You got to send Ferris and Lemai an email tomorrow with requesting like a statement of work of what you want the intern to do. And they have interns that are available for 80 hours a week. Or 80 hours of work.
80 hours a week, that sounds like my schedule.
There's a couple of stipulations. I'd like to look into. Number one is that they have to work within the city of Detroit. Number two, TechTown pays half of their fee, which is you pay half of those wages, and TechTown pays the other.
No, that's separate from Shifting Gears. That's
Oh,
Wayne State interns. Those are Wayne State interns. This is a Shifting Gears program that's occurring at Wayne State. And these are people that are transitioning from big business to successfully maneuver in the startup company space. And these are typically executives or senior management people that have done marketing, all kinds of things, tech development.
How do we get in touch with them?
Ferris, you know Ferris at TechTown?
FARIS at techtownwsu.org.
So if you have a need for interns, I'd send them an email with the statement of work tonight or tomorrow. And they've got about 20 people in the program. So. And he'll be able to respond as well.
Okay, well thank you folks very much. Stay tuned, we'll be back the first week in June for our next D-NewTech meetup. Thanks.
So we're back on the video again here.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen her the last couple of times, were you?
No, I had some conflict with those dates, so I had somebody else do it.
Oh, you're doing it.